Since this is a media event, I am tempted to say, gentlemen of the press, to deal with all protocol issues. So for the non-media people, we are all gentlemen today, including the ladies. We are gentlemen. Let me formally, on behalf of the Government Appeal of Delta State, welcome everyone to Asaba, the capital of Delta State. In particular, welcome our elders, the chairman of today's occasion, Chief Shegun Shoba, the Secretary to the Government of Federation, Minister for Information, our elders, Uncle Sam, I greet you. Everyone that has come today. I'm probably the happiest Nigerian today, in the sense that all we've been saying for the past 6 years about Delta beyond oil is now being recognized. And the Guild of Editors are elevating it to Nigeria beyond oil. Yes, we have oil. Yes, oil is good. But the realities are now showing. And I'm happy that the SGF, I think he almost frightened some of us with the information he gave today about what is happening in the oil sector. But that is the reality. And that is the truth. And that means we have to take the issue seriously. If we do not take it seriously, we'll wake up one day and discover that we have no economy at all. For us in Delta, it's something we have struggled to deal with in the last 6 years. The task and the challenge for our generation is to ensure that we do not get to that situation where, without oil, Nigeria crumbles. I want to recognize that the theme for discussion of the Guild in the last 8 conferences have been quite apt. But I believe that this year's theme is the most appropriate, because it is a call to duty. It is a call for us to pause and think for a moment about the future of our country without oil. As the World Bank Country Director, Ms. Mary Francois Marinelli, told the Economic Confidential in a recent interview about Nigeria, and she said, let me quote her, "So far, the government survives mainly with oil revenue, which accounts for over 90% of exports and well over 70% of consolidated government revenues. As oil resources are not indefinite, it is important for Nigeria to plan now what it wants to be after tomorrow." And she further said, the issue is how Nigeria can use the available oil resources to invest and prepare itself for the non-oil economic period. Further, she said, we think the agricultural sector is very important for Nigeria. Today, Nigeria is importing 2.5 million tons of milled rice annually. With the projected population growth in 20 years, Nigeria will need 35 million tons of milled rice. So will the country afford importing all this rice? This is why Nigeria needs to invest in agriculture so that Nigerians can feed themselves in 20 years. She's still talking. Even if you continue to have oil, you may not have all the resources to import what will be needed to feed the population. Nigeria needs to put in place not only the infrastructure, road, electricity, but Nigeria needs to invest in agriculture. Unquote. I must say that this comment is not new, but reminds us of the golden years and the sad decline that set in as oil exports began to displace agriculture. At independence, non-export was the mainstay of our economy. From oil palm to cotton to cocoa to groundnuts to rubber, this country made good economic progress. In structural terms, non-oil exports accounted for 80% of total exports between 1960 and 1970. In GDP terms, non-oil contributed 98.4%, while oil accounted for only 1.6%. Now, looking at the two-sector economy of oil and agriculture, you can say that trouble began in 1970 when oil contribution went to 17.9% and agriculture declined to 34%. The slide in agriculture continued such that by 1995, oil exports represented 97.3% of our total exports. Till date, oil exports constitutes over 90% of our export revenue. Remember that it was 1.6%, but today, over 90%. Now, I've stated the above to remind us when we started to derail. We stopped industrializing and we stopped expanding our agricultural outputs. What then resulted was decline in food production, shortage of raw materials, rapid monetary expansion not matched by domestic productivity. In addition, we had and continue to have soil, water, and air pollution. All these from oil production, especially in the Niger Delta zone. In all this, I'm not saying that oil does not have its good side. It certainly does. We have economic growth driven by oil exports, infrastructure development from oil revenue, increase in national income, improved balance of payments. These are the good sides of oil. However, and this is where the problem lies, it is clear that relying solely on oil exports has narrowed our vision and opportunities to build a diversified and more prosperous country. Amidst oil exports, Nigeria spends 1.3 trillion naira on food imports every year, with our import bill rising by 11% annually. And this is frightening. Oil dependency is quite clearly responsible for the high unemployment rate, which is estimated today at 23.9%. That means about 40 million Nigerian youths, from available data, are without jobs. Of course, for anyone in government like me, youth unemployment gives us gray hairs. And this is not just a Nigerian problem, it's a worldwide problem. In the news and around us, tight job market has remained a troubling issue. We just have to slay this monster. And another cause of concern is the high population growth, which the World Bank country director that I quoted earlier referred to. The fact is that with 2.8% population growth, Nigeria is sitting on a population bomb. What we do not often realize, and this can be cross-checked by anyone, no developed nation